There's nothing more satisfying than finding the perfect green paint for your living room. Except maybe popping open that can of Valspar Ultra and rolling that first smooth stroke on the wall. And there's nothing more satisfying than admiring your freshly painted wall.
Ooh.
Except maybe peeling off the painter's tape to see those crisp edges. But the most satisfying part of all? Valspar Ultra's price tag, starting at $29.98 a gallon. Affordable, durable, available at Lowe's. Price varies by sheen. Valspar Ultra starts at just $29.98 a gallon. So we've got you covered when your daughter wants to paint her room again, after last year's masterpiece of a unicorn mural.
Dad, please.
Or when you realize that maybe you went too hard on the grayish.
I miss color.
Or when you were sure you wanted a home gym, but your elliptical is currently hanging your laundry.
What about a home office?
Shop everything you need for your next phase with Valspar. Available at Lowe's. Price varies by sheen.
This is Liars, Cheats, and Thieves, and Everything in Between, with your hosts, Sarita Patel and Latham Woodward. Hi, and welcome back to Liars, Cheats, and Thieves, and Everything in Between. This week's episode is with Leo Madrid, quantum consciousness researcher, realist, and naval veteran. Sarita Patel is on assignment in Chicago this week, and she misses being here, but I think you're going to enjoy this episode, hearing about the weird world of quantum consciousness in that community. Welcome back to the show with Leo Madrid, and we're going to be talking about a subject that's come up on another podcast we do. It's called Liars, Cheats, and Thieves, and Everything in Between. We, on the Sarita in the Stream channel, we've gotten tremendous response on not only episode 1, but episode 2, because it seems like everyone knows a liar, a cheat, or a thief, and anything in between. So, Leo, welcome back.
Nice to be here. Thanks.
Yes, it is nice to have you here, and it's nice to talk about this thing. I know in the last episode we talked about scientists, and a bunch of rip-off artists in that realm. Why don't you expand on this? You got something right on top of your head there?
I've got a book.
Oh, okay. Let's start this book, and we're going to take some recording here.
Well, I think in the looking at it from the macro perspective, we're really talking about human nature.
Yes, we are.
And the corrupt nature of being. Because I think the purpose of us talking about this is to hopefully leave an imprint of positivity to negate what, the negative impacts of this type of behavior and how to actually deal with it.
Absolutely.
Because it's everywhere. And I think I have a different perspective. A small percentage of the population in America has been through the military, and the military veterans have the highest self-deletion rate, one of the highest, if not the highest demographic of self-deletion.
I did know that.
And a lot of people mistakenly believe it's because the military is so hard and they put it through PTSD and they went so traumatized. And that is bullshit. That is not the reason this has happened. Most of the people that end up self-deleting never even served in combat. So that is not the case at all. And that when people say that, it's just a cop out for them to not take any responsibility, for their role in the whole thing.
No, and I'm going to take a guess here where you're going with this. Is it because once they exit the military, they've got a lack of foundation, lack of structure, and that it's too much for a lot of people?
Well, it's not the foundation and structure. They had too much foundation and too much structure in the military.
Okay.
And the military is inherently an honest group.
Right.
So, if you're serving in the military, you have to tell the truth. You can get in serious trouble for lying, even if it doesn't affect any type of operation.
Even a white lie.
Just a white lie. Just telling a lie is against the rules. Where in American civilian life, it's expected that everybody's lying about everything.
Right.
And I remember about 20 years ago, I was hanging out with a group of people, And I was in the position of hiring somebody, needing to hire him. And I was talking about the necessity of being honest in your resumes and not lying to the people you're interviewing with, because you're starting a business relationship with them, and you shouldn't start business relationships or any relationship out on lies.
Why not, Leo? Why not?
And that's what everybody said. They were like, no, you have to lie in an interview because everybody else is lying. You have to pull out every trick you have to get that job because everybody else is doing the same thing. And and these were the people I was talking to were like managers and businesses. And I was just like, oh my God. And that attitude is pervasive everywhere, you know, and so in the military, you're inherently telling the truth. When people ask you a question, the first thing you want to do is like tell them the truth, right? And so you're in a society that values honor and integrity and honesty, where in the civilian world that is not the case at all. That's not even discussed. And so you have these people exiting the military, and you're going into an inherently dishonest organization, and you're just telling the truth all the time. And so what happens is the veterans get taken advantage of economically, physically, and exploited until they can't emotionally as well,
especially in their relationships with women and other things.
Yeah, man. I mean, women go through this as well.
Yes, of course.
And so men a bit higher, but definitely it affects as far as the self-deletion rate. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. They just come out and cannot function, and it's hard to tell when people are lying to you because they're so good at it.
They're so used to doing it.
They've been doing it their whole lives. And when you're in the most of us went into the military. If you're enlisted, you go in when you're 18, and those are really formative years. You know, those between 18 and like 25, that's when you really become an adult, and you determine your relationships and how you communicate with other people. So when you're in the military, that's why so many people get out of the military and go right back in. They need
the honesty again.
They just realize, wow, the civilian world is completely screwed up. It's not at all like we thought it was, and they'll go back. And I remember one guy, Woody. He was like a rocker from the Midwest, just wanted to do his 4 years and get out. And he was like giving me all kinds of razz. He would razz me all the time for being such a squared away sailor. And I was like Joe Navy and loved studying all the time. And he's like, why are you doing that? And then when he got out for 4 years, he got out and he was out for years, like went back in, made it a career, became a CB gun wielding warrior chief,
wow.
Joe Navy. But it took him getting out to realize how screwed up it really was.
And did he recount to you the reasons?
Yeah.
The reasons.
Well, that was why it was so screwed up. It was the military was much more organized and dependable, everything.
Yeah, and I can definitely say that the term BS applies here, right? So many people in a workflow, in here, it's just BS, nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Now, I came from, before this career, I left a manufacturing career for many, many years, and I sold that business, and I got into the cannabis business when it became legal. That was an industry where everyone was like, oh, brother, we're cool, man. I appreciate you, blah, 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 blah. What a crock of shit.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like it. And, I came from construction manufacturing, where you think people are up to some shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
That's an honest group of people compared to this group. I mean, it is shocking how dishonest people are and how everyone was gaming for themselves. So you couldn't believe anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
It just came to the point where like PTSD set in. I was like, my dad would send me like articles about, well, this is happening in the cannabis business in this state, and this. I'm like, stop sending me this stuff.
Yeah,
it's giving me flashbacks, right? So I can get it, and I can get why people wouldn't like it. But now transition. You got out of the military. You're in there for 8 years, correct, or 10 years? 10 years, and what level were you when you left the military?
I did really well. I was advanced pretty quick. I made E6 in 5 years, and I stayed in E6 for the remainder. When I was qualified to make E7, that's a pretty big advancement. And at the time that I aced my test, I got all recommended, but the Navy was downsizing at the time.
Oh, right.
And I had gone to college the whole time I was in. Most of the time I was in. Whenever, on my second ship, it was big enough to where when the ship was at sea long enough, they would have college professors on board.
Oh, wow.
If we were not in a combat mission. So like there were times when we were just on regular patrol cruise missions, and we would have a professor on board so we could take a college class here and there.
Incredible.
And so I was pretty diligent about that throughout the career. And then by the time I transferred to shore duty, I had pretty much knocked out my first 2 years. I had one class to take at Laney College, and then I transferred to St. Mary's. And I was going to college pretty much those last 2 years full time while I was still in the Navy. And I graduated with a BA in business, debt free, while I used my GI Bill while I was in.
Sure.
So that covered a good portion of it. And then so I graduated from college while I was on active duty with no special time given.
Incredible.
For that. And that was very rare.
So if you're a young person out there and you don't know where your college money is coming from, you might want to go into the military. Because I have a nephew who's in the military now. He loves it. I didn't think he would like it. He loves it. And I've got a neighbor kid who's in the military, and he loves it too.
Yeah,
I mean, they love it. I mean, my stepdad was in the military. My other stepdad was in the military. My dad was in the military. My grandparents, my uncles, everyone, it fostered their careers afterward,
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But anyway, back to liars, cheats, and thieves and everything in between. So now you've left the military and you're into the science world, you're into the art world, you're into all these things. And I'm sure there's a fair amount of liars, cheats, and thieves and everything in between in both of those fields.
Oh, yeah, everywhere. But to converse that as well, to contrast that, is one of the galleries I worked at. The owner was a brilliant salesperson. He really was, and a brilliant art buyer and curator. And we had a policy in the gallery because there's a lot of BS everywhere.
Sure.
And we were one of the top galleries in San Francisco at the time.
Okay.
As far as revenue, we were selling like $1 million a month in art.
A lot of dough.
And lots of pieces, like a lot of work. And we had a policy: no lying. Truth only.
You actually had to have that policy.
And it wasn't because we had a group full of liars. It was for the exact opposite. Is like, this is a value that this company holds, and that is never lie to a client.
That's amazing.
About anything.
That's super smart.
Yeah, and it's like, you tell the best truth you can, right? We are salespeople. We're selling art. We're selling great art, right? But if once a client's feels like they're being sold or you're lying to them, it's done. That relationship is over. And so if somebody was caught bullshitting, like a new salesperson was caught bullshitting a client, they would just be gone. It's not even a question.
Well, in the art world, along with what I used to do, high-end residential building and constructions, you can't have a relationship built on lies.
Yeah, it's
because you need that person coming back.
Yeah,
because they're going to build a house in Carmel, or they're going to build a house in San Francisco, and you need that client coming back to you,
right?
For sure. So I get that, and so that sounds like a pretty ethical person to work with, then.
Yeah. I mean, that's what that was really what propelled the gallery into success, I think, because it forced everybody to think smartly,
right?
Because like lying, there's this false equivalence that people have in their mind that equates being a good liar with intelligence, when it's exactly the opposite. Smart people don't have to lie because they can figure out what the best thing to say is. Dumb people lie.
We have a saying around here. It's the truth is simple.
Yeah,
the truth is simple. Yeah. And so anytime you get something spinning a great yarn to you about what happened, or how come this thing
this
broke
elaborate
down?
thing?
Oh my God! It's just like this story that goes on for 10 minutes. Like, you're a liar.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm sure it was just like because he came home, found his wife sleeping with somebody other guy. That was it. To put it in.
And sometimes
context.
Lies are just the easiest thing to tell, just to keep the other person to shut up.
Right.
Rather than just saying something honest. But how many people? This is a good analogy I have. Is like, because I think like the deception that occurs in everyday relationships is why we can't have nice things. It's one of the components. It's the same. It's what it's the same issues what we talked about in the last show, and it was scientists and why they're corrupt, and it's the ego and that necessity of control, and people could control reality with lies much easier than they can with the truth. Because if you're dealing with the truth, there's randomness out there, there's openness, there's being open to another person means being vulnerable.
Right.
And so if somebody can wrap everything up with tight little lies, there's no vulnerability there. And think about this, is how many, just in America alone, in the last month, how many people called in sick to work with a lie?
Well, it's got to be over 90%.
Millions, probably,
Yeah.
right?
Right. I'm not going to say
Which
how
means-
many, but I know.
And
the percentage.
I've never called in sick with a lie. I have called in, I'm not coming into work today and I told the truth, and one time somebody says to me, you should have lied. Why didn't you just tell them something else instead of that? And I was like, well, that wasn't the truth. Why would I do that? If they want to fire me because of X, Y, Z,
Because you're honest.
because I'm honest, then fuck them. I don't care. Nothing's, why would I want to tell a little white lie? Because in my mind, if I tell a lie, I've got to remember it.
Oh, yeah. That's a very complex thing.
Yeah. And I got too many things in my brain to remember they're important
This
than
brings
like a
up
bunch of lies.
So many points.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many points. Like, I don't know if you know the whole chemtrail thing, right? It's like, maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, right? But all I know is human nature. Humans cannot keep their goddamn mouth shut.
No.
And humans cannot keep stories straight. So if you're asking a whole bunch of people to lie about something and you're like depending on it for it, and it's 25,000 people, it's not going to happen.
No,
It's
definitely not.
impossible. It's
Yeah.
literally impossible. Somebody's going to slip up in the first 8 seconds. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't load that into the plane. Jim did. Well, that's not what he said. So, there's all these weird things. But now in the science field, we'll go back to that because we just talked about that briefly. It's like
all lies.
ownership too. Ownership, right? They have to own something. And you and I discussed the other day about how so many scientists that I've known or researchers, they are kind of one-trick ponies, right? They are going for something and they get it and then they stop, right?
They're so invested in this one thing.
Yeah, they stop, and then their career is like, I'm going to rest on my laurels. I'm going to take my tenure at Stanford and I'm just going to sit here and collect my money, right?
Yeah, and defend that.
Defend that, write papers on the same stupid thing you did in 1969 forever.
You just described the pseudoscience or the consciousness research community to a T.
I'm smart. I'm smart that way.
They've been doing the same research, the same experiments over different variations of the exact same experiments for 50 years.
You're right.
And again, when we came up and showed them our stuff, they're like, "Oh, we don't want to see that. We're looking for something just like that, but from somebody else."
Somebody with letters behind their name.
Yeah. So the nature of deception is just built into our society. You can see it in movies and television shows where it's scripted, where they're in a situation constantly where they can just. It would be very simple to just be like, oh, I got a flat tire and I broke the car or whatever. But no, they go into this elaborate scheme to deceive mom and dad, right? And they're lying constantly to the people that are the closest to them.
Right.
And so we're just conditioned where it's okay to lie to people we love because we can get away with it. That's kind of the pervasive thought or our culture is.
Messed up. It's messed up.
So with a corrupt culture, the idea that we can live in a peaceful world is just not like people that go out and protest against war. I don't think understand that society is not a choice between war and peace. It's a choice between war and complete pandemonium. Because humans are not capable of being honest, so they're not capable of being peaceful. Because peace at the core of peace, being a peaceful people would be being honest with each other.
True. And also, I think the people who protest war, I look at it often as like, if you took your energy that you put into making that sign, that you put into making your bus reservation to Washington, D.C., to put it, and all the little things, and instead, you just went and spent two days at your local senator getting your voice heard, so it's on the record, that actually means a lot more. The other thing is public perception. It's like, oh, I guess this is a big thing, whereas the reality is, if you want to do something, go make a change. Go make a change.
Yeah, most people don't. When they go to a protest, I've gone to protest, not to protest, but just to cover it with my camera.
Yeah.
I've done stuff, and I just wanted to see what was the driving force. Most people don't even know what they're protesting about. They could not articulate the real minutia of what's actually happening, and they go to it. I've interviewed people. It's like, why did you come here? Oh, it's fun. This was so much fun.
My friend was coming.
Yeah, and they have no idea. So the vast majority, the organizers do. With protests and stuff, I would say my heart is with them, but my head is not.
Right.
I'm like, you're empowering the force you're actually opposing. By doing what you're doing, and it's not helping.
In another podcast you were on in the studio, you mentioned about this same subject, and that was that people are basically incapable of having peace because of human nature. Yeah, it's like they can't get there because of the things that are just holding them down.
If this is what I think, if you took, let's say, 200 peace activists, let's just call it that, okay. People who heartfelt believe that peace is the way, right? Get two groups of those, let's say 100 people each, put them in little townships, and give them everything they need to survive. Everything good. There's no shortage of water, food, or anything. Eventually, what will happen is a group of men are going to get together and figure out how to dominate everybody else. And they're going to take over both lands.
Correct.
That has happened every time.
The Stanford experiment.
You cannot get away from that. Yeah. That is human nature, is to destroy, corrupt, take over. And so if you're a peaceful people, what's going to happen to you? You're gonna get overrun. Yeah, you're gonna get overrun. So we look at the thing in Palestine, what's going on right now, very controversial, no different than anything that's been going on for 10,000 years. Right. If you look at, and my heart goes out to those people for sure. But if you look at, I'm a Native American. I'm mostly Italian, but I have Native American as my second most dominant feature, right? And if you go back, let's say it's the 1800s, right? Would you be telling the Native Americans under no conditions ever, succumb to the white man, fight them to the death, because eventually the Indian will prevail, and this will be a nation of, Indians? That would be ridiculous for you to tell them that, knowing how it was going to turn out. So the idea of colonialism, manifest destiny, all that stuff, I don't think those are ideas just to label. Those describe human nature. Like people are going to always want more, and they're going to always take more, even from the weak and the needy. Those are often the most vulnerable, and those are the first ones to go because they can't fight back.
There's a concrete example of this too within French and Italian communities before it was France and Italy, and it was Rome, right? Specifically, Provence, Provence and Occitanie, okay? There are two regions, they're still divisional down in the south of France, where the Romans came in, and they went into the area which is now Nîmes, which is in Occitanie, which are, kissing cousins to the people in Barcelona. And the Romans typically came into communities, and they gave options. They said, submit to Caesar, and we'll integrate you, and everything will be good. Well, the people in Nîmes decided, yeah, we're going to do that, right? Everything went great. They got a great Colosseum there now, older than the one in Rome. But the people in Provence said, no, we're going to fight these guys. They fought them for about 8 days. Yeah, and then they went and killed everyone. like everyone.
Everyone.
I mean, it's so like, to capitulate is the way the dominant is going to always take on the weak, and they're going to dominate.
Yeah.
So that is never going to change. It's never going to change.
I would disagree with that.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear it. I want to hear that.
I think humans are capable of change.
Okay.
But it's not going to be a conscious change. It needs to be a biological change.
Oh.
And you kind of went through the change yourself.
I did.
You did that. The experience we had in my studio was expanding your consciousness, right?
To open my mind to something
Open
new.
your mind, but take this further. Take that concept.
Please refer back to episode 1 of these conversations for that.
With our group, people evolve as consciousness expands. Peace. What does that mean exactly? Why do we use that? It's not a catchphrase. It's not a catchphrase. It's definitely our mission.
People expand as consciousness.
People evolve.
Evolve.
So we, as humans, experience biological evolution. Mm-hmm. Let's just call it microevolution within our own species. We can grow. If we have children, our children might be taller, might live longer, might have an extra finger 10 digits down, or generations down. We don't know. Our 10 generations from now, our kids might be 6 feet tall when they're 8 years old, 10 years old. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to happen. I would imagine massive ecological changes can cause mutations in beings. So who knows where we're going to go from here? But I think we can change through the expansion of our consciousness. And people have described my work as this, just by watching and seeing it. And they say, you're creating an empathy machine. And I said, yes, you got that right.
Interesting, right.
Because what happens if you expand your conscious enough, what does that do to the relationships with those around you? You become more entangled. And you have the ability, if we can raise society's level of empathy, of real empathy, not fake empathy, and then combine that with compassion, because like psychopaths are very empathetic, and sociopaths, they can sense sense your feelings.
They read a room.
They can read a room. They can sense your so empathy alone is not the panacea. You have to combine empathy with compassion. But because if you combine empathy with sociopathy, you get American politics.
Yeah. That's a good point, though.
Yeah. So the technologies that we're working on are designed really to elevate our consciousness, create a greater level of entanglement with each other. So maybe generations down the road, we can raise. If this was adopted at the level of AC electricity, where it was just in every home, was just in the cars and offices everywhere, you would have a standard deviation shift upwards in consciousness to a more empathetic people. Mm-hmm. Whereas when they're out consuming all the other things, especially alcohol, those are consciousness dampeners. They're making us less empathetic, less connection. As a great example, look what alcohol does to violence. Look at the relationship between alcohol and violence.
It's astounding. Actually.
It's astounding.
It's astounding.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so the alcohol,
especially with domestic abuse,
but take it even further and just think about it. If alcohol causes violent behavior in people, what type of behavior is it creating to those who do not commit acts of violence? It's still violent behavior. It's just not physical violence.
it's emotional.
It's emotional violence. It's just being a complete asshole. It's lying. It's not being able to think clearly.
Correct.
It's falling back on anybody who's ever lived with or had a family member or a friend that's an alcoholic. You can see how they change.
Oh my God, this hits home for me, man.
Not just when they're drunk or drinking, but in the in-between times.
No.
You know, and so that has a dampening effect. You know, like in America alone, 50%. I don't know. I've heard this. I can't verify this, but I don't doubt it. And that was 50% of alcohol sales go to alcoholics. People are drinking like more than like 30 drinks a week.
I believe
and
that.
And the alcohol companies know this,
Of course
and
they
they
do.
are marketing to them directly. because for the specific reason, it allows them to be controllable. Like when the pandemic hit, people were complaining that churches were being closed and that strip clubs and alcohol stores were allowed to stay open. And I completely agreed with that, because if you turned off the strip clubs and the alcohol, this country would completely lose its mind. War would break out everywhere. Like if you this is the thought experiment I play with sometimes. I live in my thought experiments. But imagine there was a virus. This is like in a real scenario. Imagine there was a virus where the main catalyst, and it was a deadly virus. It was a deadly virus, and the main catalyst was alcohol. If you couldn't catch it if you had no alcohol in your body, but if you had any alcohol, it could kill you.
Okay.
Right?
We'd have a lot of dead people.
We'd have a lot of dead people. People would be, fuck it, I need my beer.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't care if they were going to die today and they had a family member and everything, and the only thing keeping them from death was that not drinking that vodka. They're going to drink the vodka.
They're going to pick that hill to die on, man.
Yeah, and that would wipe out the entire that would, like, America would come to a collapse.
Well, here's another corollary from my past career in the cannabis business. How fast do you think it took cannabis to be declared an essential business?
1 minute?
1 month.
Month. Yeah, it was a month.
Yeah, I could line up my employees and get them all vaccinated and everything. Just boom. Just essential.
Yeah.
Essential business, you know? So they know how to quell the populace. They know how to quell the populace, and that's to get to their vices. And that's, somewhat dishonest. I really feel the alcohol thing's a really big thing, though.
Yeah.
As someone who has gone in and out of, just quitting, like I don't say I'm an alcoholic or sober. I just have had alcohol around my life, my whole life. But I've quit for 1 year, 2 years. Now I'm back on it. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. I just had this conversation with my wife the other day. It's like, this doesn't do anything for me anymore. Nothing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't do shit for me. So I'm like, I'd rather sleep really well, And
the body changes over time.
Sure.
Your tastes change. Some people like pineapple when they're young and they grow out of it.
Yeah.
So alcohol is kind of the same way. I think it also, as we age, it's going to have a different effect.
Yeah, it's not good stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, the psychedelics and stuff, those could all be abused as well. We
all know people who do that.
Yeah. So there's not. But I think they are a substitute. They're an escape from reality, because reality, it does bite. Like when people talk about becoming awakened, such a positive thing. It's like, no. You're not awakened. If you're happy, you're not awakened. Like if you're happy in this world, I find you somewhat self-delusional. Not to say that you can't experience happiness, but if you're just going around happy all the time, then you don't really recognize what's going on around you.
I'm going to look at you a little differently if you're walking around happy all the time.
Yeah. You're like, what are you on?
Yeah. How do I get that? Is that accessible to me? So, back to the science guys. Okay. So in your personal experience with liars, cheats, and thieves, man, we're going to get back to the subject. I mean, where is it worst for you in your field?
Oh my God. I've been betrayed. There's the one thing about, like, trust. Nobody can betray you unless you give them your trust.
Correct.
And so if you've experienced betrayal, which I have, it's kind of on us for being too trusting. We're trusting the wrong people.
Giving up too much of your
too
personal.
much trust. Yeah. Like I once had, this was like 20 years ago, but somebody I'd known for years basically stole my house. I was living in a 4-story loft in Soma, and I had $500,000 in equity. And one of my friends, who was a mortgage broker, basically stole my house from me.
Stole your house.
Used my money to pay a lawyer to kick me out of my own house legally. So that was somebody I'd known for years, and I had dated one of his friends. But he saw a big chunk of money that he could get that was mine, and stole it.
Are you shitting me?
Nope, and that was hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And he just stole
He just got away with it, and he got away with it. It was even though there was forgery involved and definitely illegal stuff. It was just like it would have cost me too much to fight him, and he had hundreds of thousands of dollars of my money.
Is there any silver lining to the story? Was he hit by a bus?
I learned don't trust your friends.
Well, that's one silver lining. Another one would be the revenge one. It was like a Muni took him out, you know?
Nope, I never looked back at him. I could have gone and done something stupid, but I'd probably be in jail for it, you know? And I figured this was an expensive lesson that I need to learn. And, you know, I just kind of took the attitude success should be the best revenge. And
that's definitely good revenge.
And yeah, because I mean, literally, I mean, if I had done anything beyond what I tried to do legally to rectify it, I would have definitely have been the one to suffer. You know.
Yeah, it would have all turned around on you.
Going to violence. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And that's one of the problems in our society is there's no honor, and we rely on warfare, lawfare instead of warfare. Right, so we live in a litigious society where people just know they can completely fuck you over, and you can't do anything about it. Whereas if we had a system of honor where you could like challenge somebody to a duel or something like that,
go old
school on it and get that
sabers at 10 paces.
Absolutely, I would do that with multiple people. I would challenge them, and they would all cowardice out. You know, they wouldn't do it, but at least it would be that. But we live in a backstabbing world where people just do those types of things just behind your back.
So let's talk about the groovy consciousness community. Okay, they're so groovy. So they're one consciousness serving humanity, right?
Yeah, and themselves. Yeah, if they there are some great scientists out there. I'm not certainly saying that, but they're in the consciousness community. It has been so philosophy driven, and there has been so few to actual discoveries. The whole industry is clamoring for any type of like progress, and they completely stifle anybody that trying to step out. And so what we've experienced is an ongoing, continuous, a lot of deception, bait and switch. Like people will invite us, me in particular. I can go back. People would tell me, this can't be true to me. And I show them the evidence. They're like, I can't, it's so freaking weird. In the consciousness community, I've got the names and screenshots and everything of this, so I could prove it in court if I needed to.
Okay.
They literally set up a fake website pretending to be a consciousness-driven investment house, right? And it was all just templates and stuff when you really delved into it. And they were using fake stuff, but they were inviting me to give a presentation on all my latest scientific discoveries and foundations at a 5-star hotel, having dinner and all this stuff. But they were just milking me for ideas. They were just milking me for ideas. It was all completely fake. The minute I told them, no, I'll send you this and this, I'm not coming to your dinner, the website went away.
Just like that.
Just when they literally went to the hat of setting this whole thing up for me.
Just an elaborate ruse.
And so that's been kind of consistent. That's happened a couple of times. This is the first time I ever saw an entire website go up. But the censorship, we have had our work actively solicited under false pretenses. We have had... I submitted this was at the 2020 Science of Consciousness Conference. So this is a conference.
This is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. The 2020s, what is it called?
The Science of Consciousness Conference.
This is a real thing.
At the University of Arizona.
Okay.
And it's sponsored by one of the biggest charlatans in all of science by the name of Stuart Hameroff.
Stuart Hameroff, okay.
Yes, and he proclaims to be searching for the nature of consciousness, has this ridiculous microtubule idea of the nature of consciousness. That's his thing, right? And he is sponsoring this consciousness, claiming to be searching for the answer, right? Well, my partner and I submitted our stuff for this conference. We were fully accepted to it. And in the first session, a couple of the first sessions, the keynote discussions, everybody was talking about time, the nature of time, and the fact that we needed to look at new ways to address time, measure time, and just approach it a little bit differently. Now, they couldn't give any examples of what that would be, right? These were just words coming out during a talk. These were not presentations of their own work, right? But our presentation, we actually brought a working clock that samples time completely differently, examines the spatial nature of time, incorporates relativistic ideas into a new way to approach time. So we actually had what they did. And on our first, this was a 3-day conference. On our first day after we got there and started showing our work, we got censored. They shut us down. Stuart Hameroff himself shut us down and would not allow us to participate in the rest of the conference. We were not allowed to participate in poetry readings. We were scheduled to be interviewed. Anybody that wanted to get interviewed could be interviewed. And this was during the pandemic, right? So what had happened, we applied and got accepted before the pandemic, and we were planning on driving there and doing an installation and having everything there at the university. But then the pandemic happened and everything went virtual, right? So all they had to do was just to censor us was just push a couple of buttons, and we were totally cut off. So we couldn't interface with the other members the way they could with each other. And we were not allowed to do poetry readings or interviews. Like I said, we had an interview, and the interview was canceled by Stuart Hameroff himself. We were told that. And so it was because we challenged and we had proof of concept. We weren't working in speculative ideas. We had stuff we could prove. And so they didn't want to see their thunder stolen. So they chose to censor.
So the people at the conference are going to be like, why don't we need the Stuart Hameroff guy?
Oh, they took all of our stuff. They took all of our ideas.
Oh, did they?
We submitted them.
Oh my God.
You had to submit your documents to them. So those
took
people took them, absolutely. And they took all our ideas and adopted them. But what they did is they stopped us from presenting, because you know who was watching? Investors.
Oh, right.
So they saw that we were a threat to their established paradigm, because we've already solved what they claim to be looking for. And so they chose, instead of like, hey, welcome to the club, good job, let's talk about this, it was just like, go away. So the same thing happened to us there that happened to Tesla, that happened to Hans Berger, and all inventors. Really, that you have to survive. And if you want to make it as an inventor, you have to survive the gauntlet.
The gauntlet.
The gauntlet. And that is everybody trying to destroy you on the way.
But I'm still so surprised about these groovy consciousness people being so deceptive.
Oh, yeah. And they don't want to talk about actual solutions. Like they want to perpetuate the paradigm and the mystery, because that's what they can sell. You know,
right.
They can keep selling that.
You and I had a conversation yesterday or 2 days ago about the UFO YouTubers and how you get lured into the clickbait. It's like, what, they spotted something in New Mexico finally? There's actual video footage of it? No. It's a 2-hour thing about nothing.
About nothing.
About rehashed stuff from old Russian footage that it's just garbage. You know?
Yeah.
It's such a time suck. And they don't want solutions, because
they don't want solutions.
The UFO guys,
and they,
man.
like I said, they will just completely throw out, like in the consciousness community. I went to a talk the other day where these people were talking about AI and consciousness, right? And they were Berkeleyites and connected with Harvard. And I raised my hand. I was like, at the Q&A, I was like, hey, I've developed a working AI that takes into account human consciousness. I've had it proven to be effective at the highest levels of scientific World X Prize, you know. But most of the response from the consciousness community has just been completely ignoring it. And so in your own quest to understand the nature of consciousness in AI, how are you going to apply the scientific method to avoid, missing what that answer is? And both of their answers were the same. They answered it different ways. They both answered as we're not using the scientific method. We're going to continue. Yeah. And so what I did was I gave them kind of a checkmate answer, because I was saying, and they verified their own dishonesty by the fact that they did not want to know anything about me, even though I have already solved what their problem. So sometimes, like, this is a crude analogy, but There was a movie. There was a movie made about an astronaut recently. I can't remember his name, but he was Mexican. He was a Mexican astronaut. Grew up in Mexico. And he was a math genius.
Okay.
Right, but he spoke Mexican. He spoke Spanish. He was
Right.
from Mexico, like very Mexican. So when he came to America and went to math class, he knew all the answers, right? But when he raised his hand, they would never call on him. Why? Because he's Mexican and he didn't speak English very well.
Right.
But he could speak math. They still wouldn't call on him. So that's what it kind of feels like for me. Is like, hey, I got the answer. No, not from you, not from you. We don't want to talk to you.
No, I'm sure the third thing that they were talking about in the background was going to be like, yeah, get this Leo Madrid guy out of here.
Yeah, and I even got an email once. So I've achieved there's a group of another pseudoscience group in the Bay Area called IONS, Institute of Noetic Science.
Okay,
they have this thing called a moonshot. Like if anybody can invent anything that where that can prove your consciousness affects the material plane, that's their moonshot, right? Now, I invented that in 2016, and I showed it to them. I was like, "Hey, here's the invention you're looking for." And at that time, I was kind of part of that group, you know. And I have an email from them, from one of the ION scientists, that says, "Oh, we're not interested in you joining our group, but please keep sending us your ideas."
Isn't that nice of them?
That's nice of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can keep sending them all my scientific progress
for free,
and they can keep getting it funded.
That's so amazing.
And
you did it, of course, right? You did.
Well, I don't have to. They follow me online.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And so that's another group that kind of has that deceptive. They put out that they're the most altruistic, ethical, nice people, but they have the most cutthroat practices you can imagine. They've had me canceled multiple times.
We're all part of the same family, brother. Right? That bullshit.
But that's they are banking. They have raked in millions in contributions for lying, and they're actively lying to both their investors and their donors, because they're like, there's never been any progress that we know about in this area, so please keep giving us your money and we'll just keep investigating it. And so, like, anybody that does come up with something, they're just going to get sidelined.
These are UFO people. Keep the narrative going, right?
Yeah. And that's what it is. So it's like they're not looking for answers. I want to make, if I ever became a funded filmmaker, I want to make a film. I might write a book or something about it, about what the world would be like without the Wright brothers. If we had left the question of flight into the hands of the Ivy League people, it would have never been created, and we'd still be flying around in blimps and super trains. We would not be able to fly across oceans right now.
The Zeppelin is the thing of the future.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And we wouldn't have any of the jets, or being able to just go to New York on a whim.
Yeah,
that's crazy to be able to do that.
Nazi balloon blowing up over the harbor. The humanity. So, I mean, every day, I think the takeaway here at getting close to 50 minutes here is that I would restrict the amount of information you give anyone. And I think that's good advice. I read this summer.
Loose lips sink ships.
Yes.
And I've got a big mouth because I like talking to people, and like I made my living on talking to people a lot. And I like to share, and I like to improve people's lives. And sometimes that can backfire.
Oh, it's backfired on me. I've given up personal information to someone I thought I trusted, and then all of a sudden it comes back to bite me in the ass because they use it in a personal context with other people. And you just look at them and go, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, are you this desperate for attention that you have to take personal information I told you in confidence and then you turn it around on me? That's a real asshole maneuver, right? Mm-hmm. And people do that.
All the time. I mean, that's the workplace.
Yeah.
People do that at the workplace all the time.
Water cooler bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave it here for now and to talk more about Liars, Cheats, and Thieves and everything in between, probably a couple of times in upcoming episodes. But you wanted to shout out an organization you're doing some progress with and getting. Well,
I think there's one group that we're working with that I think is in many ways the antidote to deception.
Okay, let's hear it. Who are they?
Heart Math is the group. They have a sort of a corporate consulting branch as well as a research branch, and they study the relationship between the heart and the head, heart rate variability, and the way to actually use that understanding of how the heart works to connect to humanity at a larger, more empathetic level. They've got they have an app, consciousness coherence app you can download, and a program called Let's Help Love Go Viral. And so they're very much involved in elevating the stature of human consciousness to a higher level of empathy. And I've in my experience, they're one of the few organizations that really do practice what they preach, and within the area of consciousness, I would not put them in the deceptive category at all.
Well, that's nice, especially you're giving them a shout out. So let's hope they're not in that category.
But they're one of the few, and so they started this thing called the Global Consciousness Project, and so they've sponsored our group in that, just in a scientific sponsorship. You can give tax deductible donations to HeartMath, and if you earmark it for Halo, the Halo X Prize competition, it'll go directly to data. None of the money comes to the team, but it just goes to data and equipment. And
that's fantastic.
And it's a deduction for HeartMath.
So if you do give HeartMath a donation, do earmark it for Halo and the X Prize.
Yeah, they're a great organization. And then we have a Patreon stuff starting up at haloai.me. You can see that there. You can download one of our last papers. You can see links to some of the explanations, our GitHub. There's a couple of programs you can download and try if you're tech savvy. And we'll be developing some really cool things that you'll be able to access our stuff just from a web browser. Nothing to even download.
Where can other people find Halo? On Reddit or anything like that, or Instagram, or
not really?
Okay, well that's probably good.
We're gonna, when we ramp this up and start deploying it, we'll have the Instagram and probably the Twit thing, and just a social media package around Halo.
Right.
Yeah, we will have that, but it's not up right now. We do have a YouTube channel that has a playlist on it. You can link that. You can access that from some of our papers and our website. But it's got a handful of videos that really go into depth on, they're short videos, but they're concise on what we're actually doing, the technologies we're working with.
Sure. Okay. Well, if you have time, check it out on YouTube. And check out HeartMath at your convenience. And we'll be back next time with more information about consciousness, the quantum, liars, cheats, thieves, and everything in between, and good people out there, which there are few and farther between these days. But again, our guest today, as always, Leo Madrid. Thanks, Leo.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll be back. Bye-bye. This episode brought to you by Mad Mana Studios in San Anselmo, California. You can reach us by emailing us at Latham, Latham, at madmanastudios.com. We respond to all emails and love to get your feedback. Until next time, this is Liars, Cheats, and Thieves, and everything in between. The views expressed on this podcast are solely those of our guest. This is also intended for entertainment purposes only. Names have been changed where necessary. This podcast is copyrighted by Mad Mana Studios 2025. All rights reserved.